In this section, I'm going to be talking about structuring your ESL class, how to put your class together and how to make your class work as a ministry in your church. We have, first of all, lesson plan objectives. When you are planning your lesson, your class that you're going to be doing, your English class with your students, make a lesson plan, and you can use that or make that lesson using an ESL textbook. As Sherry had mentioned in the previous session, a textbook is important, that the student buy a textbook, that they have a textbook, and you as a teacher will have one and probably will have a teacher's edition of that particular textbook. But it is important that the teacher prepare a lesson plan. You will not use everything in the textbook. The textbook is written as an idea book. For example, the word-by-word picture dictionary textbook that Sherry was talking about has a wealth of information, lots of different activities and games that can be used in the classroom, but you do not have time for all of those activities, and not all of them will fit in your particular classroom. You know what would work best with your students and where they are and the level that they are in their learning of English. The lesson plan also is important because it keeps the students' needs in focus. Not just something we randomly do, teaching from the book is a difficult thing to do. But a lesson plan will keep the students' need in focus because with every lesson plan we do have an objective. What do we want our students to learn in that particular 2-hour session, that particular evening? What is our objective as a teacher? Also, the lesson plan that you write, it does provide a structure for each class. It starts with introduction and goes all the way through to break time. You'll have a devotional time. I'll be talking a little bit more about that in just a moment. But it provides a structure for your class. I know that some people would be tempted just to have a conversation setting, and you can do that. I've heard of people just having people together and just converse and have coffee. But I think that most of the students who come to you, they want a structured class. They want a teaching session, if you will, for their English class, and this will provide, your lesson plan will provide for you a structure. And also the lesson plan shows that the teacher is prepared, that you've done your work in preparing for that particular lesson, that lesson and that those students are important to you and you've spent time in preparation. Generally, preparation for an ESL class will take anywhere from a half hour to an hour of the teacher's time during the week. So these are important things when we consider a lesson plan and the objectives that we have for that plan. Here is the lesson plan example. This is what you will do in a particular 2-hour session with your students. Number one, there will be an introduction, something like 5 minutes, kind of a warm-up period. A lot of times I just converse with the students. If you have a theme that night, you're talking about banking or you're talking about medicines that night, this is an introduction time when you can pique their interest with what you're going to be talking about that evening and what they will be learning. Number two, review the previous lesson, and I try to do this just very, very briefly just to remind them what we studied last week. As we previously mentioned, in the church, we don't have the resources generally or the people to have more than just one session per week. We're working with volunteers. We just don't have the time to do that. And so it's important to take a little bit of time at the beginning of your class to go back and review what you studied last week. I don't want to spend too much time with that, although that does vary a little bit, but usually we review and then move on. Number three, guided practice. This is what we do in like word drills with the students, learning new vocabulary, repetition, repeat after me. This usually lasts about 40 minutes. It takes up the bulk of the first half of your class that evening, a 2-hour class, that 40 minutes there. But you're guiding them and helping them to hear your pronunciation, the meaning of that word, and to repeat that word and to memorize that word. And then number 4 is a break time. During a 2-hour class, a break is very important, usually about 15 minutes. And this is also a very important time socially, where we have coffee, cookies, other refreshments. It's an important social time where we mix and mingle with the other students. They mix and mingle with each other. And you will also find that as you go along in your classes, that the students will start bringing refreshments. They'll bring cookies, or they'll bring something that they've made at home, a traditional dish, for instance, and bring that to class. And that gives them another way that they're participating in the class and they feel a part of that class. And then after break time, number 5 would be communication practice, also about 40 minutes. And this is where we as teachers are trying to elicit spontaneous English usage with what they previously had learned in the guided practice. All kinds of games and activities are given in the teacher's textbook, the teacher's book, things that you can do with your students to help them to come up with English on their own using what they learned previously, what they were memorizing. And then number 6, devotional, about 15 minutes. This can vary a little bit, 10 to 15 minutes, but this is where we give a spiritual thought for the evening, for the day. We don't want for anyone that comes to our classes to feel trapped, that we have advertised English classes, but really what we want to do is do something else. No, we are going to give them a quality English class. But they will know, because oftentimes we have the class in the church, they will know that we are going to mention our religion. They're going to know that we're going to be mentioning our Christianity. And we certainly can do that. We let them know up front that we are a ministry and we have a devotional time. And usually those have been very, very well received by our students. We've had very, very little problems with students coming with any issues with the devotional at all. Now, going back to the guided practice, which is the first half of the ESL class, guided practice is where we, again, have them repeat after us. It's a memorizing time. It's something that we guide them into step by step. And number 1, it's we do a warm-up activity with the students. Number 2, hearing and comprehending the new words. We try not to give them more than 8 to 12 words vocabulary in any one class. Now that doesn't seem like a lot of words, but when you consider that some of these would be brand new words, and trying to remember those, it can be difficult. So we try to limit that and don't want to overwhelm them with too many vocabulary words. Number 3, they practice saying the new words. We say, repeat after me. We'll give the words, and they will repeat after us, and we check their pronunciation. And they do this chorally. They do it chorally as a class, everyone together. And then number 4, they practice reading and writing the new words. Again, having classes one time per week. We don't have a lot of time for reading and writing. This is very time consuming. Again, we're talking about survival English, basic English for the most part. And so we just touch on the reading and writing just a little bit. Maybe have them write the words in their book from what we put on the board, and look at those words as they pronounce those words. The teacher introduces the material in a structured manner in guided practice. The students respond in a set, predictable manner. They repeat. Guided practice lays the foundation for the second half of the lesson, which is communication practice. So as a teacher, during guided practice, you would put a group of vocabulary words on your board or on the screen, And here I've put on our slide here an example of 8 vocabulary words, things that you would read: book, newspaper, magazine, letter, email, instructions, recipe, or announcement. These are things that you would read at home on various occasions. And so I would drill with my students. I would say the word. They would listen to me saying these words, how I pronounce these words, and then they would repeat after me. Your students, some of them may know some of these already, but maybe they're not pronouncing them correctly. Maybe they have a very heavy accent or need some help in correct pronunciation. So even if they know the words already, this will help them in speaking better English. Practice sentences using new vocabulary includes repetition, substitution, questions and answers. For instance, conversation with your partner. Again, we try to minimize the stress. We don't have anyone come to the front unless they're willing to do so, to drill them on their English in front of everybody. We don't do that. But we have them generally in class work in pairs, 2 people together. Work with your partner. And then we oftentimes, after they've worked with a partner for about 5 minutes, we'll stop the class and have them work with another partner and do a conversation like you see on the screen. Person A says, "Where are you?" Person B, "I'm in the living room." Person A, "What are you doing?" Person B, "I'm reading the book." And again, they fill in the blank with one of the vocabulary words that we're working on, one of those 8 to 12 vocabulary words. This will give them conversation and practice. Again, this is guided. They're basically repeating, they're memorizing. And this is the first half of your ESL class. Then, after break, you go into the second half of the class, which is communication practice. And here are some of the activities that you see again on the screen there on the slide. There are role play activities, games, interviews, an information gap, and that means where your partner would have information you don't have, and you have information your partner doesn't have. And they have to talk to each other in order to solve the problem. Describing and discussing pictures, storytelling, discussion, and maybe for a little higher level student, debates. But these are communication practice activities that can help the students to learn and better learn what they have already been over in the guided practice in the first half of the lesson. Your class can often be involved in special events in your church. Many churches also offer citizenship classes. We have in our ministry center in Amarillo, we have 2 citizenship classes that we offer every week. This is another tremendous opportunity to share the love of Jesus Christ and the gospel with our students. Usually these are a little higher level students who want to become U.S. citizens. And again, we can help you to find curriculum that will address the citizenship needs that your students may have. Also, potluck dinners, you can have those at another time. We've done this. A couple of years ago, we had a Thanksgiving event, inviting our students to come and on a different night, had a Thanksgiving dinner, potluck. They can bring their own regional or their national foods to the potluck dinners. Sometimes on a class night, we'll have a potluck night. People will bring their foods from their countries, and we put all that food together, and it's a great time of them participating in the class as such. It's a great time of fellowship, and then during those potluck dinners, when we come together, we can practice our English some more. Holiday activities are always important. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. These are times that we can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them through these activities, through these holidays. We can learn Christmas carols, retreats and camps. Some churches have done retreats or camps for their ESL students and their families, or again, invite the students to special events at church. So there are many, many things that you can do with your students even outside of class or apart from the English that you're giving week after week. I want to address the first two classes that you will be doing as you start your new ESL program at your church. The first class I recommend will be registration day. It lets you know approximately how many students you will have. As Sherry had stated earlier in a previous session, a previous video, when you're promoting a new program, you have no idea how many students you're going to have. And so that first night, designate that as a registration day, registration night. And this will help you to know, give you an idea how many will be coming. It also allows you, B, to meet the students, to get an idea of the nationalities and a little bit of the level of the students. C, check the students' fluency level. And D, fill out registration forms. Checking the students' fluency level, I recommend, and again, do this as you will for your particular situation, but I recommend that as you bring all the students in on registration day and you're having them to fill out a simple registration form that you've made up, take the students out one by one, have one of your workers take them out to a different room, and just have a brief interview with them. Just talk to them a little bit and get an idea of what level they're on. And I'll show you a form in just a minute that we use in our ministry center, but this will help you to know what level the student is on in their English. Now, if you only have one or two workers in your church that are doing this ministry, you're probably going to have only one classroom of multi-levels. That's a little bit of a challenge at times, but I have done this. I have done a multi-level, one-room school, all working together. It can be done. But nonetheless, on that registration day, it will help you to know what level they're on. And this is very subjective on your part as to, what if they're higher level, medium, or lower level. But you can get a pretty good idea when you take them aside for just a 5-minute interview and talk to them just for a moment. It will help you to know what level they're on before they come to class. This form I have here on the screen is a sign-in sheet, and you do this for all of your classes. You can start it on registration day if you want, and subsequent classes thereafter. This is basically the roll that people come in and they sign in that they have been there in class that particular night. You may want to do a traditional roll book where you have all the students listed. Sometimes that gets to be a little bit of a challenge because students do come and go, and sometimes their schedules don't permit them to finish the class. The sign-in sheet has worked very well for us, but again, use your own judgment as to what you think would work best in your situation. This is a student registration form that is on the screen. This is what we use in our ministry center. Feel free to copy this or something like it. It's very, very simple. The students just fill out on the left side there some very basic information. We do ask the name of the church they attend, and we do say on the bottom right hand corner of the form that this is a community service of the Assemblies of God Church. And this lets them know right up front on the day of registration when they're filling out this form that this is a Christian ministry. Also in the top right, there's a box there. It talks about speaking, comprehension, placement information. When you take that student aside during the registration night, the teacher or the helper that is interviewing them will check the box or the line there from 0 to 4 as to what level they would be on. This is again just to help you. Nothing official here. It's very subjective, but it does give you an idea what level they're on in their English. After you've finished registration night, the next week you have your second class, and this will be a time when you will then take the students and place them in the proper class if you have more than one level. Again, if you have just the one-room schoolhouse, you have all the students together in one room, no problem. The teacher will hit to the middle in their teaching. It'll take you just a little while to find out what the middle is, And you can do some other creative things like having some of your higher students sit next to a lower student and help them and assist them, because a lot of the work that they'll be doing in class will be working in pairs. And they can really help you out, those upper students, assisting those lower students in class. But if you are fortunate enough to have several workers and you want to have 2 levels or 3 levels of English in your church, then this will help you at that time to place students. Your registration paper there talking about their level will help you to put them in the right class, which level. B, also that night you can register new students who did not come to registration day. You will have students coming to your class probably at various times through the whole school year. We have what we call open enrollment. We don't turn anybody away. And so we try to get as many there as we can during registration, on that registration day, but you will have people that they'll come in, subsequent weeks. They got the word is out that you're having classes, and they'll come and says, can we register? And so during the second class and even subsequently, you will register new students. You'll take book orders if you're going to use one of the textbooks we've talked about, and you'll begin instruction that night. Again, if you have any questions about ESL and how this ministry works, please contact us. Sherry and I are ready to help you at any time. Contact us with this information that we have that's there on the screen. Thank you.